الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. There is a word that is often used in the Quran and also in Hadith Mubarakah, which is called Iḥsān. There are two meanings of Iḥsān. The first meaning of Iḥsān refers to that state of ibadah, that state in a person's ibadah, where they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if they see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if they are seen by Allah. They're aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching them. There is a second meaning of Iḥsān, which is that a person does an act of kindness towards others. It's an act of goodness towards others. It's a favor that a person does on other people. This is called Iḥsān. And today we want to speak about the second aspect of Iḥsān, the second meaning, where a person does an act of goodness towards others, kindness towards others. They favor other people. They do favors upon other people. And if you look at this word Iḥsān, in reality Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that being who is the true Muhsin. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done Iḥsān as favor, has sent his favors upon all creation. If you look at animals, if you look at the birds, if you look at human beings, all of us, we are enjoying the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are drowning and drenching in the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also see this in animals, that if an animal or a lion, for example, if a person does a favor on that lion and feeds that lion, then the principle is that the lion will actually respond, will reciprocate, will return. And the lion would do lihaz of his owner. And this is a principle which also applies in human beings. That's why the Arabs they would used to say that al-insanu abdul ihsan, that a human being, he is the servant of that person. He is a servant of that person who does ihsan upon him. So in one riwayat in Hadith Mubarakah, the Prophet ﷺ has said that we should do ihsan on other people. Inna Allah katab al-ihsan ala kulli shay. That indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it lazim, has made it necessary for everyone to do ihsan. And this is over and over many places in Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to have this sifat, this attribute of doing goodness towards others. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands the person to do adl, to have justice, and Allah commands the person to do acts of kindness and goodness towards others. Similarly, then in another place Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a whole list of people to whom we are supposed to do ihsan. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُبِ وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ. It's a whole list that a person should do ihsan with their parents, with their qurba, with their close relatives, with the orphans, on poor destitutes, on their neighbors, on travelers. So they should do acts of kindness and goodness with them. And a person should even do acts of kindness with their enemies, which is that a person should forgive them. That's also mentioned in the Quran. Fa'fu anhum wasfah, that forgive them, overlook their mistakes. Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indeed loves those people who do ihsan. So even forgiving those people who have wronged us, who haven't given our rights, this is also ihsan. And this is a very beautiful aspect of our deen, that the deen wants to encourage such values. Even if a person takes some initiative and tries to remove fitna and fasad from the earth, they don't want to be a nuisance for others. They want to be a source of harmony, a strength, a positive influence in the society. This is also ihsan. That's why Allah Ta'ala says in Quran, وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا, that don't do fasad on this earth after islah has been done, after rectification has been done. And call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make ibadah khawfan wa tama'a, in a state of fear, in a state that your heart has this hope and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah ta'ala says, Inna rahmatallahi qareebun min al-muhsinin, that indeed the mercy and the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very near to those people who do ihsan. So that is why this is a hukum for all of us, that we should do ihsan, whether it's with human beings, whether it's with animals, even plants. We are told in Quran to do ihsan with everyone, with all the makhluk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Bukhari Sharif there is a riwayah that we have mentioned many times about a Zaniya woman of Bani Israel who gave water to her dog, and because of this amal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave that woman and gave her the tawfiq to make tawbah. So when a person does ihsan with animals, then this is also beneficial. And imagine then doing ihsan with other human beings. Once there was a person, very Zannun Misri Rahmatullah, it's written about him that he saw an unbeliever, he saw a woman who was not a Muslim, an unbeliever, and she was old and she was giving some food to some birds. And I said to her that what's the benefit? You don't even believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't have proper belief. You won't get any reward for this. And she looked at me and said that it's a good thing that that the being will take my account will be not you, will be someone else. And it said that Zanun Misri that year he went for Hajj, and when he was in Makkah Mukarramah, he saw that there near Baitullah Sharif, that same woman was there and she was making dua to Allah. And he said, I was very surprised, and I came to her and said that you didn't even believe in Allah. And she said that you didn't know that in return for giving that food to those birds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me with this ni'mat of Iman. So if Allah ta'ala can bless a person with this ni'mat of Iman when they do ihsan with birds, then imagine doing ihsan with other human beings. How much ajr, how much reward Allah ta'ala will give to such a person. Insan is ashraful makhlukat. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said to Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that shouldn't I tell you about the best akhlaq in this dunya and in akhirah? And then the Prophet ﷺ explained that antasila man qata'ak, that whoever breaks away with you, we should try to join ties with that person. Normally we think that if someone does good to us, then we should also respond with goodness. That's business, that's tijarat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want tijarat, does not want business, that if someone does good to you, then you respond with goodness. But the real neki and the real akhlaq is that if someone does bad to you, then you are supposed to respond with goodness. This is called ihsan. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَتُؤْتِيَ مَنْ حَرَمَكَ, that you give to that person who takes away from you. Someone who wants to deprive you, and in return you provide for that person. So see here again also the Prophet ﷺ is mentioning by name that person who deprives you, but you respond by giving it to that person. This is called ihsan. So the Mufassirin that have written this ayat of Quran where Allah Ta'ala says, Hal jaza'ul ihsan illa al-ihsan, that what can be the compensation for ihsan except for ihsan. Yani there is nothing which can compensate for someone's ihsan except that a person should also respond back with ihsan. And the Mufassirin in this ayah, in the commentary of this ayah, they write that ihsan here means that a servant recites the kalama. And then the ihsan from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that Allah will make this person enter into Jannah. Yani this person recites the kalama, and in return Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him Jannah. This kalama is such a big blessing. Allahu Akbar. So we look that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done a lot of favor upon all of us. We don't count the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but this is all ihsan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The blessings that we have health, that we have wealth. From the tips of our hair to the soles of our feet, we are drowning in the mercy, in the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why we should try then to respond, try to pay back by doing bandagi of Allah, by being a good servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should do bayan of Allah ta'ala's azmate. We should love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fear Allah ta'ala. We should have humility before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our muhsin hakiki. So this could be our amal that we do to respond to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings. If we look at Sharia, it's a very beautiful aspect of our Sharia that wherever there are two parties, Sharia says that you're supposed to take care, both the parties are being told to take care of the other. This is an usul, a principle that you find in many places in the Sharia. That there are two parties, each one of them should be considerate about the feelings of the other. Why? Because Sharia does not like a person to be indifferent to what other people are doing, to what other people are feeling, to have no consideration for other people's thoughts or their feelings. If someone does something nice to you, you should feel it, you should notice it, and you should appreciate that, and you should repay that person with something nice. If you look at the relationship between parents and children, so on one hand, Allah Ta'ala commands the parents that they should do proper parvarish and tarbiyah of their kids, give them ta'aleem, education, raise them well, and they should also give them muhabba, and the rules for father and mother, that they should do proper tarbiyah of their kids. So this is the task that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed on the parents. And on the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't left the awlad free, off the hook. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the children that you should also now do ihsan upon your parents. Your parents did ihsan upon you. You should not overlook and forget their ihsan, but rather you should also respond back in kind. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the radha, in the pleasure of your father, you will find my pleasure. Beneath the feet of your mother, you will find my Jannah. Even if they're unbelievers, you're still supposed to do ihsan with them. وَصَاحِبُهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. If you live with them in this dunya, live with them in a ma'ruf way, in a good way. Because this is the teaching, when you do ihsan and they do ihsan, then there will be goodness in the society. That goodness will spread in the society. Similarly, another example, second example, those people who have a lot of wealth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them that they should give zakat, sadaqat, hadiyah. Give zakat to those people who are poor, give sadaqat to those people who are your friends, give hadiyah to those people who are your elders, your ulama and mashayikh. Do infaq fi sabilillah, spend in the path of Allah. So a wealthy person is given this teaching. And on the other hand, a person who is not so wealthy, who receives this wealth, They are told that if you receive this zakat, then you should make dua. You should make dua for that person. Allahu Akbar. So, so one person is told that this is your farz, and the other person is told that this is what you're supposed to do in response. Similarly, between husband and wife, husband is being told by Allah Ta'ala that you should take care of your wife, you should give her love, you should protect her, you should give her food, proper dress, you should be kind towards her. And on the other hand, the wife, she is being told that you should serve your husband, do khidmat of your husband, you should raise your kids well, do tarbiyah of your kids. And if your husband is not home, then you should protect his izzat, his wealth. So both ways, Allah Sharia is telling us the husband to do this and the wife to do this. So in the same way, Sharia says that if a person gives you any hadiyah, a gift, so that person should respond with also a hadiyah. They should also return back and give some gift to the first person. If you can give a better gift, you should give a better gift. If you can't give a better gift, you should say Jazakallah. You can make dua for that other person. And this is so simple. It doesn't require much wealth to say Jazakallah. It's just 2 words. But the Sharia wants us to have that ihsās. It wants us to have that consideration for other people, that empathy for others. That when they do some favor upon you, you should notice, you should feel it, you should appreciate it, and you should repay back with something. Oh, many times we don't even notice what other people are doing for us. We don't even realize the kind of blessings we have and the kind of favors other people have done upon us. We become very self-centered, egocentric, matlabi. We just mind our own business. We just forget about other people. When we were needy or we were in some difficult situation and they helped us, then we get their money, we get their support, we get their assistance. But then when everything is going fine and they come to us to get something from us, to take something from us, then we forget about them. We say that, who are you? We don't know you. So this is not ihsān. This is something which we find so common in our society. That people do good person and then when they return, they're empty-handed. So people, we should be. This is again, this is what the Sharia is teaching us, that a person should have the realization they should not be so self-centered and be leading such an egocentric life. If you look, there are so many teachings about presents and hadiyah in our deen. There are so many hadiths mubarakah. And just to understand how important this concept is, so in one place the Prophet ﷺ said that tahadu, give hadiyah, give presents to each other. Why? Because giving hadiyah will remove the bughz, will remove that hatred and spite from that person's heart. And if there is some spite or hatred in that other person's heart, if you give hadiyah to him, then this act of giving hadiyah, present, will actually cause that malice to go away from that person's heart. That person will begin to feel love for you. So give hadiyah. Another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, tahadu, give hadiyah, because hadiyah will remove the bogus from the other person's heart. And one hadith that very famous that all of us know, tahadu tahabu, that exchange gifts with each other, because exchanging gifts is something which will increase muhabba between your hearts. So this is something which is not just in non-Muslim culture that you give gifts. You have these days that you exchange gifts, and New Year's and Christmas and other Valentine's Day, but this is also our tradition in Islam, that you give gifts to each other, and they don't need to be big gifts. You can just give a token of love. You say token because it's supposed to mean something. It's a token, but it's a token that you give through love, token of love, which creates love, which spreads love. And this is very much Ayn Deen. This is the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Because when you give gifts, it increases muhabba, and it removes any nafra, any hatred and malice from the other person's heart. And even if it's a small gift, doesn't have to be a big gift. It can be even a small gift. That's also sufficient to remove kina from a person's heart and fill that heart with muhabba. In one riwayah it's mentioned that you should do musafaha with each other, shake hands with each other, because this also removes malice. from hearts. And you should exchange gifts with each other because this creates muhabba and removes spite from a person's heart. So on one hand, Sharia teaches us that you should give gifts to your brothers, you should give gifts to your friends, you should give gifts to other people. And then what does the Sharia say for the other person who receives the gift, who receives that gift? So the Prophet ﷺ said that that this hadiyah, this is rizqum min Allah. This is a risk, a provision from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whosoever receives this hadiyah, he should accept it, and he should try to respond with a better hadiyah. You should give back a better thing to that other person. You should do something nice with that other person, returning the favor. Allahu Akbar. Fuqaha in their books of fiqh have mentioned categories of rizq which is halal, gradations of halal, gradations of halal and tayyib rizq. And they say that the most halal and pakiza and tayyib rizq is that rizq which a person gets from mal ghanima, which is when a person walks out on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and gets rizq by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the most halal. And then after that, second is that which a person receives in the form of hadiyah. That's also very pure, very halal and tayyib. And then after that is that rizq which a person earns on their own, their kasbe rizq halal. So this hadiyah that a person receives, this is the Prophet ﷺ is saying, this is rizqum min Allah. This is a rizq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending you this rizq. Allah ta'ala placed it in the heart of a person to give you this present. Just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends customers to shopkeepers, Allah sends these customers. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also places in the heart of different people this love, and that's why they come and give to ulama and tulaba money or hadiyah. Right? So it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who places this love. That's why this is rizq min Allah. It's a rizq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is also what we find in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that in Bukhari Sharif, the Prophet ﷺ, he would accept hadiyah, and he would always give a badla, he would pay back, he would do something nice, he would return the favor, return that hadiyah. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates this from the Prophet ﷺ, that whoever receives a hadiyah, a gift from a person, he should try to do mukafat, he should try to compensate. And whoever doesn't have the istitat or the ability, then the least that he can do is to do tazkira. He can mention that this person gave so and so, such and such thing to me. And whoever has done tazkira, who has good sentences about that person, then this is sufficient shukr. This is sufficient in terms of being grateful to that other person's favor upon you. So the first step is that if someone gives you hadiyah, we should try to give back a hadiyah. And if a person doesn't have that istitat, then we should make dua for that person. We should praise that person among other people. The Shariat is so beautiful. The Shariat is saying that if you receive a hadiyah and if you can make dua for that person, you praise that person, you say jazakallah to that person, you do tazkira of that person with good alfaz, good statements, then you paid back. You returned the favor. Because why? Because this will now increase muhabbat. It will increase love between their hearts. It will remove malice. It will remove hatred. It will remove kina. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will strengthen the love, the bonds of love between them. And that's why even in there are many stories of our Salaf Salihin, Akabarin, how they would practice these teachings of Islam. It's mentioned that there was a person by the name of Hazrat Shari Rahmatullah alayh. Whenever anyone sent him a hadiyah, he would never return that container empty-handed. And he would get something in a container, and he would always give something back in that container. This is returning the favor. Someone does ihsān upon you, and you do ihsān upon them. You pay back with ihsān. Abdurrahman bin Abdullah rahmatullah alayhi narrates that Sayyid bin Asr rahmatullah alayhi was once walking towards the masjid and he was alone. And one person from Quraysh, he stood up and started following him on the right side, from the right side. When Sayyid bin Asr rahmatullah alayhi reached his home, he noticed that there was someone who was following me, and he asked him that, why are you following me? What's the issue? So he said that there's no issue. I just saw that you were walking alone, and I thought that maybe you might need some help. Maybe I can assist you in any way, because I don't see any khadim, any servant, any helper with you. So I just walked behind you just as a precaution. So Sayyid bin Asr rahmatullah alayhi, he called his servant from inside and said that, how much money do you have? How much money do you have in the house? Yani our money, how much money is there inside the house? And he said 30,000. He said, bring all this money and give this to this person as a hadiyah. Subhanallah. He had so much lihaz for this person that he was walking me with this intention that if I need any help, then he will be able to help me. And he did qadr. This is called empathy. They empathize with another person. This is showing consideration. That this person did an act of kindness with me, and I want to return the favor, and he gave him these 30,000 as a inam, as a gift. Once Ibrahim rahmatullah said that my father, he got a lot of wealth from somewhere, and he called me and said that on a piece of paper, write down all the people who are present in the house, all the khas, the special, and the am, write all of them, create a list. So I compiled the list of all the people, and then he asked me that, are you sure that you haven't left out anyone from this list? He said, no, everyone is included here in this list. And then my father said, no, there was one person who's not here on this list. He met me and he said salam to me in a very good way. And his hulya, his appearance is like this. His name should also be here on this list. Go give the 10 dinar to that person as a hadiyah. Allahu Akbar. So here, these are examples for us. Once Abu Yana rahmatullah alayhi was doing wuzu, and there was a person who was holding some kind of container with water, was following him. And when he completed his wudu, he noticed there was a person behind him standing with this container of water. So he asked him, then what's the issue? He said that I just wanted to ensure that you have enough water to be able to complete your wuzu. So he said Subhanallah, and then said that I will give you, he gave some part of his wealth to that person. Just for holding a container of water, they would give such a big inam, such a big gift. And this is something for all of us to think and realize, that our Akabirin, our Salaf Salihin, they used to be so considerate that anyone would do the smallest act of kindness with them, they would always respond with kindness. They would notice it, they would realize this, they would empathize, and they would actually return the favor. So then the question comes that how can a person return the favor? What is ihsan? And there are mukhtalif, there are different ways in which a person can do ihsan. One is that a person can exchange gifts. Sometimes a person can give a loan to another person. Then third is that maybe a person is stuck in some distress, some difficulty. We can try to remove that distress and difficulty from that person's life. If that person needs our maybe safarish or intercession in some matter, we can try to put in a good word for that person at office or at some other place. We can serve them, do khidmah. We can protect them. We can take them under our guardianship. We can also honor our guests, make them our guests and honor them as our guest. And also we can teach them ilm. By teaching them ilm, by doing their tarbiyah, this is also ihsan. So this is a teaching of our deen. And another teaching of our deen is that when a person does ihsan, we should be grateful to that other person. And the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith that the person who is most grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that person who is grateful to his servants. Man lam yashkurin nas, lam yashkurillah. That individual who doesn't show gratitude to human beings, he is not being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we should do amal on this. And this is very rare today. This habit of saying Jazakallah, it's very rare. We don't teach this to our children. We don't teach this, we're never taught this from our own parents. And this is something which you find in other cultures. They have this habit of saying thank you. The slightest thing, the smallest of things, and they will say thank you. And we as Muslims, however, we don't have this sifat, which is quite tragic, because this is our sifat. This is the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ, that you should be grateful, you should be appreciative of other people, you should show gratitude, you should say Jazakallah, make dua for that person. Sometimes we just take things, we take a glass of water and we just take it silently. We forget to recite Jazak, we forget to say Jazakallah. This means that we haven't developed this habit of doing ihsan upon other people. Similarly, using this word please, this is also very difficult for many of us. We don't want to use such words that show some humility, that we don't want to make requests to other people. Very difficult to find such word on the tongues of Muslims. And this is again a shortfall or shortcoming in our tarbiyah, that we haven't done proper tarbiyah of our own selves, and we haven't done proper tarbiyah of our children, that we haven't taught them these words, Jazakallah, thank you, please, Barakallah, Alhamdulillah. If someone says Jazakallah, you reply and says wa iyaka. So we should make these words our habit, make these words a part of our everyday speech. Then the next question that comes up is that who are those people who have done ihsan upon us? And not just people, that there are many ihsanat upon us done by many different people, but even before people, our mashayikh, they say that the first thing that a person should notice is that we are servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the first and foremost ihsan is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ihsan upon us. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us human beings, Allah ta'ala gave us Islam, Iman, Allah ta'ala made us amongst the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us so many blessings to enjoy. And that's why the way to repay this ihsan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to be true in our ta'alluq with Allah ta'ala, to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tawheed, and then to give our hearts to Allah ta'ala. This is true tawheed, not just zabani tawheed. True tawheed is that we give our hearts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This heart should not have any ghair inside of it. No nafsani, shaitani, ghair shari muhabba inside this heart. This heart is khalis, purely lillah fillah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should try to repay, give back Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this manner. Return the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by trying to become pure in our relationship with Him. We can make that effort at least. And the second ihsan upon us is the ihsan of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet ﷺ made lots of du'as for his ummah. And this nemat of Iman in Islam reached us because of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ showed to us the way of leading a life, a proper life. He left behind those teachings, that legacy through which we can really become a true human being. What it means to be a human. He taught us this life of haya, this life of taqwa, this life of tahara, this life of muhabba. You look at other cultures, other lifestyles, people don't have such values of haya. Their lives which are very far away from human values. Their lives like animals. Balhum adal, even worse than animals. So we have these values because of the Sharia that the Prophet ﷺ brought to us. The love that we're supposed to have between husband and wife, between parents and kids. Once it was mentioned, and this is something which we often see here also in Pakistan, that people fight with each other to pay their plane tickets. That I'll pay for you, I'll pay for you. And I was reading this somewhere that once a similar situation happened on one of the airports in America. Two Muslims, they went to the airport ticket counter on the airport, and one said that I will pay your ticket, air ticket, and the other said I'll pay your air ticket. And the woman behind the counter, she just placed the pen down, and she took a back seat and said that this is something which amazes me all the time. That these Muslims, you have so much muhabba for each other. We don't find such muhabba. That has, thousands of people come to us and they book their tickets, but the way they come is that the husband is making his own payment, the wife, she's making her own payment. And when two Muslims they come, I get to see this spectacle where both of them are trying to give the payment of the other, and one is stopping the other, that I will give and I will give and I will give. So this is this muhabbat and love which I don't see, and that's why I have muhabba for the Muslims. So Sharia is so beautiful, Allahu Akbar. And this is the ihsan of the Prophet ﷺ. And the way we can return this ihsan of the Prophet ﷺ is that we should love the Prophet ﷺ. That we should love the Prophet ﷺ more than all other makhluk. Even more than our own selves. We should love the Prophet ﷺ. We should give tarjih to the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, not to our own whims and fancies and desires. That's one way to respond. A second thing is that we should do amal on the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ with love. From the tips of our hair to the soles of our feet, we should just adorn ourselves with the sunnah. The zahiri sunnah, the batini sunnah, that's the way of showing favor. That's the way of returning that favor, giving back. And third thing is, and this is very important, that whatever the gham that the Prophet ﷺ had in his heart, that sadness and grief that he had in his heart, we should make that sadness our mission, the mission of our life. That we want to share that grief, the grief of the ummah, this grief of teaching, this grief of spreading the teachings of deen to other people. For the sake of deen, sacrificing our time, our life, our wealth, and making this our maqsad, or our goal or objective, because this was the objective and goal of the Prophet ﷺ, to spread the teachings of deen. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ spent his whole life making that mujahidah, that sacrifice and qurbani. So sharing that grief of the Prophet ﷺ and making that our grief also, this is doing badal of that ihsan. Another thing which our mashayikh mention is that whoever has a nisbat with the Prophet ﷺ, yani they belong from a Sayyid background, then we should honor them and do ikram of them. So this is how a person can try to return the favors of the Prophet ﷺ, ihsan ka badra. And then we should also realize that all the ihsan that have been done upon us by our akabareen, by our mashayikh, that's because of them we get this nur of nisbat. It's because of the ulama and the fuqaha. They have done ihsan upon us, that they have preserved this sharia in such a beautiful way. So they also have done ihsan upon us. We're also drowning in their ihsan, mashayikh and the ulama. Now what can we do? We should do their zikr-e-khair. We should mention them with good words, praise them. This is one thing. And second thing is to make dua for them. And this is something which all of us can do, but again we are ghafil. We don't make duas for our mashayikh, we don't make duas for our ulama, for our fuqaha. This should be a regular habit, that the deen, this nur-e-nisbat, this sharia, the means through which, the ulama through which, the mashayikh through which we get this ni'mat of deen, we should make dua for such people. So the author of Mishkhat Sharif, he writes that I haven't narrated any hadith from Imam Azam Hanifa rahmatullah in my book. However, when he does bayan of the halat of the narrators, the ravi, he includes the name of Imam Hanifa rahmatullah there. And this is something which is quite surprising, that he hasn't taken any hadith from Imam Hanifa rahmatullah. However, when he's mentioning the ruvat and the narrators, he includes Imam Hanifa Rahmatullah's name there. So he then explains and says that even though I haven't included his hadith, but for the sake of barakah, in order to get more barakah, I'm mentioning Imam Azam Rahmatullah's name in my book. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a lot of ilm. He was a mountain of ilm, Jabalul ilm. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a lot of taqwa and qabuliyah. And he says that it's lazim, it's necessary for the ummah to make dua for him. He himself was Shafi al-Maslak, but still he would make dua for Imam Azam. So we should make dua for our mashayikh. We should make dua for our ulama. For all the ulama, for all the fuqaha, for all the sahaba, tabi'in, tabi'in, all the salaf salihin, making dua for them, and especially making dua for the mashayikh of our silsila. We should make this our ma'mul. So how can we pay back their ihsan? One is to make dua for them, another is to do tilawat al-Quran and do isal sawab, send the sawab of the tilawat to them, to their ruh. Some of our Sheikh was mentioning that there are some people in our silsila who recite Quran and they completed 40 Quran, and they sent the sawab of Quran to each of their 40 mashayikh. Allahu Akbar. Some people who had been given more istitat, they perform 40 umrahs and send the sawab of each umrah to 40 of their mashayikh. To make dua, to send sawab. And then after that we should, we have ihsan. Parents have done ihsan upon us. So the children, they should try to make dua for their parents. They should try to do khidmah of their parents. Similarly, our in-laws, our father-in-law, mother-in-law, they're also like our parents. So we should also make dua for them. We should also make khidmat for them. Between siblings, we should have sila rahmi, make dua for each other. Spouse, we should make dua for each other, help each other. Ghuraba, the masakin, the poor, destitute, needy, we should spend on them. We should give them food. Our neighbors, we should have good suluk with them. This is all ihsan. This is all ihsan, and we should return the favor if anyone does something good with us, something good to us. So this ayat of Quran, which is very central, and this is an ayat which many of us all also know. It comes in the last juz. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ, that those people who are mutaffif, those people who do not give other people their rights properly. What you say in business terms, that wo nabatol mein kami karte. Then wailul, that there is halaka, there is woe, there is torment for such a person who is not able to fulfill their dues properly. And normally when a person reads this ayah, and I remember the first time we read this is the context seems to be of business dealings, financial transactions, that you're maybe in shopkeeper and someone comes to you and asks for something, that give us some atta, and you weigh that wheat and you give it to that person, and this is the context that normally comes to our mind, that you should weigh, you should not do any khiyana in weighing, and you should give that person enough, right? There should not be any ifrat and tafrit in those business transactions. And whatever money you're getting, you should pay back that amount. You should pay back with a similar quantity. But then the ulama, they've opened this up and said this doesn't just only apply to business and financial dealings. This applies to any relationship that a person has, any relationship where there is a interaction, where there is a give and take. So what this means is that sometimes people have this tabia, this temperament, that are willing to take from the other person, but when it comes to give to the other person, they don't give in full. They take in full, but they don't give in full. This person is called mutaffif. And now we can see how this applies in so many spheres, so many aspects of our life. Between husband and wife. Husband, he wants that my wife, she should not have any taluk with anyone else. She should have haya. And if he himself is now chasing after other women, So in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the husband will be a mutaffif. The wife, she wants that my husband should give me money, he should take care of me. And now if she runs away and if she has ta'alluqat with someone else, in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she's a mutaffifa. This can happen between brothers. This can happen between many people. Any relationship, any hukuk, any relationship with their rights on either sides. If we expect that we want to take all the rights of the other person, but we don't want to discharge our rights towards others, then in the eyes of Allah Ta'ala we are mutaffif. And this ayah is saying, وَيْلُ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ, that there is complete barbadi, there is woe, torment for that person who is a mutaffif. So sometimes we're not able to fulfill the rights of our teachers. We're not able to fulfill the rights of our parents. We're not able to fulfill the rights of our spouse. We're not able to fulfill the rights of our children. Not able to fulfill the rights of our siblings. This is a sin which is so prevalent and widespread. And many of us, we don't even realize this to be a sin. And this is Quran Allah Ta'ala is saying. This is not some my teacher's statement or my own statement or some zaif hadith. This is Quran. وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا كَتَالُوا عَلَى النَّاسِ يَسْتَوْفُونَ وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ يُخْسِرُونَ. Allah Ta'ala giving us a definition of this mutaffif. That when they come to weigh other people, they weigh very completely and fully. When they have to take something from others, they weigh very fully. However, وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ يُخْسِرُونَ. When they have to give to other people, they are lax about that. They don't give that other person to that same degree. What that other person deserves, what's the right of that other person. They fall short. So when they have to take, they take fully. When they have to give, they cut corners. So such a person is mutaffif in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should think about this ayat of Quran. We don't want to be raised up on Qiyamah among such people who are mutaffifin. And that is why whatever mistakes we have made in the past, we should make tawbah to Allah Ta'ala, seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should also seek forgiveness from those other people to whom we owe right and to whom we have to discharge our responsibilities, our rights towards them. And in future we should try to be careful about this, be very very about our hukukul ibad, and not to cut corners in such relationships. There are two examples of ihsān which are very beautiful and also important and models for all of us. One is that if you look at the story, the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, the ihsān which Sayyidina Khadijatul Kubra radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she did on the Prophet ﷺ, that whatever mal wealth she had after nikah, she presented all of it in the khidmah of the Prophet ﷺ. She gave it as a hadiyah. One day before, the Prophet ﷺ was very poor in Makkah Mukarramah. And the next day after nikah, he became very wealthy because of Amma Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha. She gave him her ghulam, her wealth, and the Prophet ﷺ remembered this for the whole of his life. This was the muhabbah that Amma Khadija radiyallahu anha, she passed away, and the Prophet ﷺ did not marry anyone while she was alive, even though she was 15 years older than the Prophet ﷺ, and she already had married twice before, and mutallaqah twice, 2 husbands before. This was her 3rd marriage. And when she passed away, then the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina Tayyibah, and then he remarried. Once the Prophet ﷺ came back home to his hujrah, and he heard the voice of a woman, and he asked the Aisha, this is a voice which reminds me of Khadija. And Aisha radhiyallahu anha, she said that the sister of Khadija radhiyallahu anha, she has come to meet me. And since sisters have similar lehja, similar voice, so the Prophet ﷺ was reminded of Amma Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. And then Amma Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that at that time in my heart there was this ajib kaifiyat, that so much time has passed by and she has passed away, but Ya Rasulullah, you're still remembering her, and she was so old, and look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Allah ta'ala has given you such beautiful wife who's so young, and you're still remembering that old lady. So this is Allahu Akbar. And the Prophet said that what the ihsan that Khadija radiallahu anha has done upon me, she did an ihsan which none of you would be able to do, because she supported me when I was poor. She supported me when I needed that support. She was the first person to accept this message of Iman. And that's why the Prophet, whenever he would perform any qurbani, any sacrifice, he would always he would always take out a portion and say that this is the meat which should go to the relatives of Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. Yani the Prophet used to remember her. The Prophet remembered the ihsan that his wife did upon him. And the last example is one example that we find in the Sirah, where a person doing ihsan did so much ihsan that the person on whom they were doing their ihsan was not able to respond, was not able to return back the favor, was not able to fully return back the favor. And if you want to see the best example of this, that is Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The Prophet said about Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu that I've been able to return the favors of all my Sahaba, all the other people around me, except for Abu Bakr. And for Abu Bakr's ihsan upon me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to return the favor on Qiyamah. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Imagine in the whole of this universe, that being who was the most kamil in terms of returning the favor, in terms of returning ihsan, was none other than the Prophet ﷺ. And even the Prophet ﷺ is saying here that I've returned the favors of all people, of everyone. Lekin, however, Abu Bakr's ihsan I haven't been able to return fully. And this is one favor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fully return on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Why is this? Because Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he gave everything in the path of Islam. He gave everything to the Prophet ﷺ. He spent his wealth on the path of the Prophet ﷺ. He gave his daughter in nikah to the Prophet ﷺ. Himself, he used to serve the Prophet ﷺ left, right, and center. His own wife, she was also doing khidmah of the Prophet ﷺ. His ghulam, helpers, servants were also doing khidmah of the Prophet ﷺ. His son was also doing khidmah of the Prophet ﷺ. Every relationship, everything that he had, everything was qurban, was given in the cause of the Prophet ﷺ. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ had to say that I have been able to return all the favors of everyone, but I haven't been able to fulfill the favor of Abu Bakr. Allah will give the favor, Allah will return the favor. So today we make dua that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable all of us to have this khuluq, may Allah ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to develop this khuluq inside of us, that we also become people that if someone does ihsan upon us, we can also return that ihsan, we also return that favor. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create this khuluq inside of us. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. سبحان ربي الوهاب اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك وحب من يقربنا إليك. Ya Allah, Ya Rabbi Kareem, zalamna anfusana. Ya Allah, we have done zulm on ourselves, we have wronged ourselves, oppressed ourselves. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we truly are among those people who have done or amongst the mutaffifin. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we haven't given other people their due. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we are sust and lazy in terms of our huququllah. We are also lazy in our huququl ibad. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we have sinned against by not following your commandments, and Ya Allah, we have sinned against by not fulfilling and discharging our responsibilities towards makhluk, towards ibad. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we come to you tonight, and Allah, we make tawbah of this sin. Ya Allah, we make tawbah of all the past sins that we have done in this regard, of all those dues that we weren't able to pay, of all those rights that we weren't able to give, of all those responsibilities that we weren't able to discharge properly. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we ask you to save, Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive us for this sin. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask you to forgive us for all the sins, Ya Allah, for all the sins that we remember, and for all the sins, Ya Allah, that we don't even know that we're engaged in. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, save us from all the sins. Allah, save us from the effects of all sins. Ya Rabbi Kareem, enable us to lead a life that is free of sins. Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant us that ilm which will take us out from this life of sin. Grant us that muhabba of you, that love of you, Allah, which will take us out from this life of sin. Allah, grant us that khashiyat and fear of you that will take us out of this life of sin, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we ask you for that muhabba, for that khashiyah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make us people of taqwa. Allah, those people who are leading a life of taqwa, Allah, you have given them tawfiq to lead such a life. Allah, we ask you also for that same tawfiq. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make us amongst the muttaqeen. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we present ourselves to you. Allah, we ask you from the tips of our hair to the soles of our feet. Allah, change us in such a way that we are pleasing to you. Allah, transform us in such a way that we are pleasing to you. Allah, change us according to the teachings, according to the hidayah of the Quran. Allah, change us, Ya Allah, according to the hidayah of the Sunnah of Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam. Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant us a Qur'ani and Nabawi Imani life, Ya Allah, an Ihsāni life, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we ask you, Ya Allah, to purify our hearts, to purify our nufus, and remove all the impure thoughts from our hearts, all the impure feelings from our hearts. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, grant us that empathy in our hearts. Allah, make our hearts soft and compassionate. Allah, fill our hearts with muhabba. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, grant us, Ya Allah, a qalbi munib, a qalbi awah, a qalbi salim. Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant us a nafs mutma'inna. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, you are the changer of our hearts. Allah, we present our hearts to you. Allah, we ask you to change our dead hearts, to purify our impure hearts. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, by the barakah of this month of Ramadan, Allah, this month is a month of barakah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask you, Ya Allah, to grant us barakah in our heart, to grant us barakah in our life, to grant us barakah in our relationships, to grant us barakah in our dunya, to grant us barakah in our deen. Ya Rabbi Kareem, when this month started, Allah, we had so many du'as, that we had so many hopes and desires that this month will start and we'll make this dua to you, we'll do this and we'll do that. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, 10 days have already passed by in this month. Allah, a few more days are left. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we ask you, Ya Allah, to open up the barakat of this month for us. Allah, open up the rahmat of this month for us. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, grant us, Ya Allah, in this month. Allah, grant us your rahmah, grant us your maghfirah. Allah, grant us from your ata, from your rizq. Allah, grant us from your fazl and your karam, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, accept these hands from us tonight. Accept these du'as from us tonight. Ya Rabbi Kareem, cast a glance of rahmah and shower us with your mercy tonight. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, in this month, Ya Allah, you have told us, you have commanded us to lessen the burden of those people who are under us. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we also come to you. We are also under you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask you to lessen this burden of sin that is on our back, Ya Allah. Allah, lessen this burden of sin on our back. Ya Rabbi Kareem, remove this burden of sin from our back. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, have softness with us. Ya Rabbi Kareem, you love softness. You command us to have softness with other people. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask you tonight to have softness with us and to have narmi with us, Ya Allah. Allah, overlook our mistakes, Ya Allah. Overlook our shortcomings, wrongs, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, forgive our sins, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, whatever rights that other people had and we weren't able to discharge properly. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we make dua to you. They grant us that tawfiq and that himmat to be able to give them their proper rights. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make such a way, Allah, make such a path that we can give them their rights that are due. And Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, those people who have passed away, Allah, we make dua for them. Allah, make this dua a mukafat, a compensation for their rights, for their undue rights, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, for their unfulfilled rights, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make these du'as a source of sukoon for them, a source of elevation for their darajat. Ya Rabbi Kareem, make these du'as in their accept these du'as in their haqq, in their favor, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, whatever rights they have upon us, Ya Allah. Allah, we ask you to make these du'as a compensation on our behalf for them. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, enable us in future, Allah, to lead such a life of taqwa, to be careful about our hukuk, Ya Allah. Allah, grant us good akhlaq, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, make us people of noble character, make us people of khuluqun azim. Allah, adorn us with the sifat of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the zahir and the batin of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah, make us batin better than our zahir. Make our zahir virtuous and pious, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, make us people of truth, make us people of sidq. Allah, make us people of ihsan. Allah, make us people who return other people's ihsan. Ya Rabbi Kareem, make us people of empathy, make us people of sympathy, make us people of compassion. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make us people of softness. Allah, make us people who are merciful towards others. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, grant us husn akhlaq. Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant us husn zan with other people also. Ya Rabbi Kareem, remove all the malice from our hearts. Allah, remove all the spite and hatred from our heart. Remove all the bogus from our heart, all the arrogance and envy from our hearts. Ya Rabbi Kareem, remove unlawful loves from our heart, Ya Allah. Allah, remove any permissible desires from our heart, shahwa from our heart. Allah, make us people of haya, make us people of ihsan. Allah, make us people of taqwa, make us people. Allah, make us amongst the sabirin, the shakirin. Allah, adorn us with all the sifat al-mu'minana that you have mentioned in the Quran. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah. Allah, we're very scared and fearful of that bad dua that Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam made, that let that person be destroyed who found Ramadan but still was not able to get himself forgiven in this month. And Ya Allah, your beloved Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said Ameen on that dua. Ya Rabbi Kareem, there is no doubt, Ya Allah, that that person, Ya Allah, Allah was not able to earn your maghfirah in this month. That person will get halakat and get destruction in this month, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask you, Ya Allah, to shower us with your maghfirah, Ya Allah. Allah, include our names among from those people whom you have forgiven, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, accept these du'as from us. Allah, accept this plea from us. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, cast that gaze of muhabba and rahmah and maghfirah upon us, that gaze of hidayah upon us. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, don't look at our tongues, Ya Allah. Allah, we know these tongues are impure. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask you, Ya Allah, to look at your own rahmah, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, out of your own rahmah, grant us better than what we can ask from you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant us the haqiqat of zakr, grant us the haqiqat of iman, the haqiqat of sunnah, the haqiqat of zikr. Ya Rabbi Kareem, make us amongst the zakireen, make us amongst the khashi'een, make us amongst the shakireen. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we are sick and tired of leading this life of ghafla, this life of sin. Ya Rabbi Kareem, take us out from this lifestyle that is empty of you, this lifestyle that is heedless of you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, change our dead hearts. Allah, mend our broken hearts. Allah, soften our hard hearts. Allah, make our hearts happy, Ya Allah. Remove the sadness from our hearts, Ya Allah. Remove the blackness from our hearts, Ya Allah. Ya Muqallibul Qulub, Qallib Qulubana ala dinik. Ya Musarriful Qulub, Sarrif Qulubana ala ata'atik. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we present our fragile hearts to you. Allah, these hearts have iman in you. Allah, refresh our iman. Allah, these hearts have iman and love for you, yearning for you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, accept this love that we have for you in our hearts. Ya Rabbi Kareem, increase this love, Ya Allah. Allah, place in our hearts a drop of true love a drop of true love for you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, increase us in our love for you, increase us in our yearning for you, in our desire for you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask you to accept this iman, accept us for the renewal full of our iman. Accept this tawbah, Ya Allah. Allah, make our qulub munawwar with tawbah. Make our qulub munawwar with taqwa. Make our qulub munawwar with the nur of sunnah, the nur of ita'at and ibadat. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, accept us, Ya Allah. Allah, accept us for this path of mehbubiyya and muhabba. Accept us for this path of the Quran, Sunnah and Sharia. Allah, accept us for the path of the khidmat of deen, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, accept us, Ya Allah, for all the tilawat of the Quran. Accept our heart to be aware in our salah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we stand. Remove the ghafla from our salah. Remove the ghafla from our ibadah. Remove the ghafla from our dua. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we make tawbah of our ghafla. We make tawbah of our sins. Allah, we make tawbah of our shortcomings. Allah, we ask you to fix all the flaws inside of us. Allah, improve our quality of ibadah. Improve the quantity of our ibadah. Grant us surur, sukoon in our ibadah. Halawat in our ibadah. Sweetness in our ibadah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make us amongst your true lovers, amongst your true beloveds. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we admit, Ya Allah, that we are the most sinning servants of your ummah, the most sinning members of this ummah, the most weak members of this ummah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, every weak turns towards the strong. Ya Allah, you are Arhamur Rahimeen, the most merciful of the merciful ones. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we come to you tonight, Allah, hoping and hopeful about your mercy, Ya Allah. اللهم مغفرتك أوسع من ذنوبي ورحمتك أرجع عندي من عملي. Ya Rabbi Kareem, you know the hypocrisy in our hearts. Allah, you know the banawat in our hearts. Allah, you know the takalluf in our hearts. Allah, you know the two-facedness in our lives. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we present all of that to you. Allah, we present all of our weaknesses to you. Allah, we present all the impurities that are inside. Allah, we present all of that to you. Allah, we do ikrar of our jurum. Allah, we admit of our mistakes. Allah, we admit of our sins. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, you know every sin that we have done. You know every sin that we have done up till now. Allah, you know every sin that we'll do even after making this dua. Ya Rabbi Kareem, you're truly Al-Halim. Allah, shower us with your hilm. Allah, shower us with your hilm. Allah, shower us with your hidayah. Allah, shower us with your tawfiq. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make us, Ya Allah, true, Ya Allah, true in our taluk with you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, save us from the lifestyle of sin. Allah, save our eyes from sinning. Save our tongue from sinning. Allah, save our ears from sinning. Save our limbs from sinning. Allah, let us not go to those places of sin. Stop us, Ya Allah, from going to those places of sin. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, take out all those sinful thoughts from our mind, all those sinful emotions from our hearts, all those sinful memories, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, wipe our hearts clean. Make our hearts clean. Make our hearts munawwar, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah. Allah, we ask you to preserve and protect this iman. Allah, accept our iman in your protection. Ya Rabbi Kareem, every day we hear stories about people who are losing this iman. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we ask you, Allah, to safeguard this ni'mat that you have given to us. Truly, Allah, we have been ungrateful. Truly, we haven't done qadr of this. Allah, truly, Ya Allah, we have done zulm on ourselves, Ya Allah, for not doing qadr of this ni'mat of iman. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, don't make us mahroom of this neema, Ya Allah. Don't deprive us of this neema, Ya Allah. Allah, safeguard this neema, protect this neema, preserve this neema, strengthen this neema, nurture this neema, nourish this neema. Allah, make us people of kamil iman, true iman, sweet iman, halawat iman. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, there are so many fitnas. Allah, we are living in a zamana of fitnas outside the Muslim world, fitnas within the Muslim world, fitnas of Dajjal, fitnas of different philosophies, fitnas of different ideologies, fitnas that are arising from within Islam, from all those people who are trying to lead us against the path of Quran. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, save us from all those fitnas. Allah, save us from all those fitnas, Ya Allah. Allah, save our imans, Ya Allah. Save the iman of our family. Save the iman of our children. Save the iman of our generations to come, ila yawmiddin, Ya Allah. Save the iman of our relatives. Save the iman of our friends. Save the iman of anyone who has done any ihsān upon us. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, keep all our imans intact in protection, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make us follow in the footsteps of the Nabiyyin, the Siddiqeen, the Shuhada, the Salihin. Ya Rabbi Kareem, whatever worries and difficulties any one of us might be facing in our lives, Allah, we ask you, Allah, we make dua to you to remove those difficulties from our lives. Allah, take away all our difficulties, all of our worries, all our preoccupations. Ya Rabbi Kareem, if we are facing difficulties in our marriage, Allah, remove those difficulties. Allah, grant us contentment in our marriage. Allah, grant us that muhabba in our marriage. Ya Rabbi Kareem, if we are facing difficulties in terms of our job, in terms of our workplace, Ya Rabbi Kareem, in terms of our rizq. Allah, we ask you to remove those worries. Grant us rizq halal tayyib. Open the doors of rizq for us. Grant us barakat rizq, Ya Allah. Place barakah in our rizq, barakah in our time, barakah in our decisions, barakah in every angle, every step that we take, every aspect of our life, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, remove the worries of our work life, Ya Allah. Allah, remove the worries, Ya Allah, that we have in terms of our children. Allah, those people who want to have salih awlad, Ya Rabbi Kareem, we make dua for them. Bless them with salih awlad, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, having awlad is one nemat. Having awlad that is salih is another nemat. Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant both these nemat into us. Allah, make our awlad pious, Ya Allah. Make them the coolness of our eyes, the sweetness of our hearts. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, save us from the dukh and gham of bad awlad. Allah, save us from the grief of awlad, the sadness of awlad. Allah, save us from the worries of awlad. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make our awlad our helper in work of deen, in the path of deen, Ya Allah. Allah, make them mu'awin, Ya Allah, with us. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, we ask you, Ya Allah, to bless us in all our relationships. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, for those people who have passed away, our parents who have passed away, all those people who are close to us, relatives who have passed away, Allah, we make dua for all of them. Allah, shower their graves with maghfirah, shower their grave with rahmah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, forgive them for all their sins. And Ya Allah, if you have already forgiven them, Ya Rabbi Kareem, then elevate their darajat in Jannah, elevate their rank and maqamat in Jannah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, grant them your qurb hakiki. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, shower their graves, their qabr with lakhon, karodo, arbo, kharbo rahmatin, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, make their graves rawzatum min riyad al-Jannah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we make dua for the entire Muslim Ummah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, shower the entire Muslim Ummah with rahmah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, we make dua for the oppressed of this Ummah, the weak of this Ummah, the orphans of this Ummah, the widows of this Ummah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, grant hidayah to those people who don't have Iman. Ya Allah, shower them with hidayah. And Ya Allah, if they don't have hidayah in their destiny, then Ya Rabbi Kareem, save us, Ya Allah, from their fitna, save us from their shar, Ya Allah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, grant istiqamah to the Ummah. Ya Allah, grant muhabba within the Ummah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, Ya Allah, enable us to share that grief that the Prophet ﷺ had for the Ummah. Ya Rabbi Kareem, accept all these du'as from all of us tonight. Ya Rabbi Kareem, whatever du'as that we have made to you, Allah, we ask you to grant us according to your own shan, your own azmat, your own azmat, Ya Allah, your own azmat and maqam, Ya Allah. And Ya Rabbi Kareem, whatever du'as that we should have made but we weren't able to make, Ya Rabbi Kareem, we ask you to bless us with those du'as also. Ya Rabbi Kareem, accept all these du'as from us tonight. Rabbana taqabbal minna. Allah, grant us your raza. Allah, when the time comes for us to leave this world, enable us to leave this world in such a state that you're razi with us, that you're pleased with us and we're pleased with you. Ya Rabbi Kareem, accept us for your raza, your liqa, your muhabba and your ma'rifa. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka anta as-sami'ul alim wa tub alayna innaka anta at-tawwabur rahim. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala habibihi خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.